Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting a new video. Sorry, a truck just went by. And it's going to be about my craft show journey for this year. So it's going to just be throughout my whole process of getting ready for craft show season. I am only planning on doing one craft show this year. It's a 2-day show. It's one I've done in the past. I did it about 2 or 3 years in a row whenever I was doing Lunar Knits full time. And it was always very lucrative for me. It's one of the bigger ones in the city. I just decided, let's give it a go and try another one. I have a game plan and it's to make some more luxurious items. So I want to do a luxury line. I'm working on a hat right now and I have a small stack of hats here inspired by the Carhartt hats that I feel like everybody loves, especially in my area. So I want it to cater to what I like as well as what I feel like people around here will like, because that's very important. But I also need to keep things cost effective, not only for my wallet, but because I don't live in a very ritzy area either. So it needs to be stuff that I can make a profit off of still. So I've put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what items that I want to make and bring with me. And like I said, I'm only doing one. It's in the middle of November. It's actually the end of my vacation, 2 days at the very end of my vacation, which is awesome. So I'll have a full week of just being able to prep before the show, which will be great. I am trying to get a lot of stuff done now. It is currently September 18th, I believe. So I have roughly 2 months. I think it's like the 12th and 13th of November is when the show is, which I still need to apply for. It is a $90 entry fee, so I need to apply for that. Like I said, it's $90. So far, I have invested roughly $70 in materials, which is all just yarn pretty much. So I have gone to Hobby Lobby because they had more unique yarns for my luxury line. Hobby Lobby is not my favorite place to shop. Like I said, they do have more unique yarns that are higher quality. The yarn I am currently working with is the Yarn Bee yarn. This is the Must Be Merino, which is a 50% merino, 25% acrylic, 25% nylon. So it's affordable. Although I am confused by it because depending on what color you get is how much the yarn costs. So it was anywhere from like $5.99 to like $8.99 or something per ball, depending on the color. But I do only buy the yarn when it's on sale. Every other week they have a 30% off sale. So I will go again next week and get some more probably. But over here is the yarn that I am trying to go through before the end of the month. So by the end of September, I want to have every single skein in that pile knit up into a product. I don't quite know what I'm doing with some of the yarn, and honestly, I might, if I can't figure something out, I might return it and get more of this, but we're gonna see. Some of it is also very old stock that I had from like 2016, 2017 when I was doing craft shows the first time. So I just pulled that out and I'm going to knit those up into some of my older style double brim hats that I used to make. And I'm going to have them in a sale bin because I just want to get rid of that yarn. And I think that this would be the best option for me. So that's what I'm thinking on that. And I just want to make sure I have a lot of different price ranges because I am a little worried that people won't want to spend $50 for a hat, which is a little low end, lower than I want to go on this hat, but it is still going to make me a profit. But I do hesitate with how the economy is right now. And again, my area, I used to have a really great following here who, you know, I would sell out every show. And I'm hoping that some of that carries through. I've gotten a lot of action on my Facebook page, which is primarily for local to me in Indiana crowd that I used to have. So I'm hopeful that it'll go well. And yeah, I mean, obviously I'm nervous, but I have experience in craft shows and honestly, it's more just for fun. I have more money to spend on myself and the things I like now, and I figured why not give it a shot? If it doesn't work out, I'll have a lot of Christmas gifts to give out, which is just as great. I love giving gifts and stuff as well. So I'm not going to be hurt. I'm enjoying myself while doing this process, and I think that's so important when going into craft shows, just based off my experience in years past. I do have, I think, a video when I did a craft show years ago. I will link it down below. And I also have some blog posts on doing craft shows that have a lot of great information. I also did an interview years ago with Be Hooked Crochet, Brittany from Be Hooked, on craft shows. So I will try to find that and also link it down below. I feel like I do have a decent amount of experience in this, but again, this year is just for fun to see kind of how it goes. If it goes well for this craft show, maybe next year I'll prep a little bit more in advance and I'll do a couple more. But again, I want this to be very low pressure and fun for me because it's a hobby right now. It's not my full-time job like it used to be. So I'm kind of just dipping my toes back in for fun. And I thought I'd take you guys along with me because I do find that there's not a lot of information on craft shows out there. But yeah, it is a very hit or miss thing. Don't go into a craft show thinking you're going to make a ton of money. Never do that, because even last year, if it was successful, the next year it may not be at all. There's a lot of different circumstances that go into what makes a craft show successful. The weather is super important. The activities that are going on that day in the same town are very important, and it may have changed from last year. So again, and then the economy this year isn't as good as it's been in years past due to, COVID and inflation happening. So all of these things you definitely have to take into consideration. So I'm going into it with an open mind, as this is just for fun. It's going to give me something to do up until November. And then on the day of the craft show in November, it's going to be something for me to do as well. And I am just trying to look at it like that. And like I said, I have 5 hats knit so far, which is not a lot. I've just started at the very beginning of September, and I've kind of been a little lazy, to be honest. Work has been stressful. I've been going through, a work transition, so that's a lot on my plate as well. So like I said, I'm keeping this fun. I plan on doing mostly hats. I'm considering some of my button cowls. Those were always my best sellers, but I'm not really trying to bring any of my old stuff. I want to bring a lot of new stuff to the table. So definitely lots of hats. I want to do some ear warmers. I definitely want to do some scrunchies. I think those will be a hit. And these are the things that I'm trying to hit in different price range. So I'm going to have my luxury line, which is going to have a luxury hat, which are these ones. And I also want to have like a luxury headband, ear warmer, if you will. And then I want to have like a medium hat style, which will be a little less expensive, but it'll still be a quality hat, of course. It's going to hit a totally different price range. Make sure that everybody has accessibility to my product and the same kind of quality. And it'll all just depend on the materials I use, but I still do hunt down the materials that I would like the best, the ones that I would buy, the ones that I would wear. My brand is very much about me, myself, and I want the people that buy my brand to appreciate that about me. The styles I choose are because I like them. The colors I choose are because I like them. I'm not focusing on what everybody else wants. Yes, that's important, but your love and quality isn't going to show through if you're not enjoying it. So I cannot sit there and make 1,200 hats, which is outrageous, but an example, I can't make hundreds of hats that I'm not enjoying. So I need to choose things that I am enjoying. So the quality is in every single one, the attention to detail. So that is my biggest advice. Choose things that you like, that represent you, and the people will follow. You're not the only one that has that taste. And if you can sell the quality of something, people are gonna buy it. So keep that in mind. I know it's very hard to choose styles, very hard to choose colors, but I always go based on neutrals. I make the most neutrals, and then I build off of that on colors that I like and appreciate and how, in my mind, I think they'll sell. So I don't think a pink hat is going to sell as well as a mustard orange hat. So I'm only gonna make 2 pink hats and 5 mustard hats. That's just an example. I don't know that that's what's gonna happen because I don't have a ton of time and I have a lot of ambition. So that is just my intro to this craft show season video. I'll take some clips throughout to give you updates on what I'm thinking and how I display things and how I make sure everything comes together in the end. So if you're interested in seeing my process and how the next 2 months go, just keep watching this video and I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, so I'm just knitting on one of the hats for the craft show, and I just wanted to do a brief update. It is currently October 8th, and I am still knitting away. I haven't got a ton done. I have 3 hats here, and then that pile is slightly bigger over there, but I am just enjoying the process. I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself because, again, it's just for fun this year. So yeah, I just got back from Hobby Lobby a little bit ago. I returned some of the yarn that I got on my initial trip when I decided I was going to do the craft show, because the more I sat here and looked at the colors, the more I just didn't like the colors. So I returned that yarn. Well, I exchanged that yarn and I got some new yarn. It's like an alpaca blend yarn. So hopefully I like that yarn better and I end up making another style of hat, because currently, well, technically I have 2. One's an old style of hat though, and one's the new style of hat. Yeah, I had a friend try on one of the hats. She has a larger head than I do, and it fit her. She loved it, so that's positive. Usually in the past, I've never had somebody try on my product before I make it other than myself. So it's nice to have that reassurance that it is going to fit somebody else's head, because I am kind of the size of a child. So I can't always go based off of my dimensions, but yeah, we're just chugging along. I feel like there was more I was going to talk to you guys about, but honestly, I'm not putting any pressure on myself this year. I have been thinking about my table setup, and that's really exciting to think about. I love that. I've been slowly knitting. You know, I still have a full-time job, doing a little overtime even with it. I have a dog, I have a home, I have things I need to maintain. So I can't just do this like I used to, knit all day long and have hundreds of hats. I'm gonna be lucky if I have 50 products all together. So yeah, I'm not expecting a large outcome from this. If you are wanting to be really lucrative about this and you were able to start in June or July or August making your product, and you have a lot more time and dedication, if we're being honest, to doing this process, I would definitely recommend setting yourself goals. The way I used to do things when I did craft shows more seriously is I would take one style of hat, and that day I just knit that entire style of hat. That's all I did. And it was very good for me. So like I would rotate it through the week on what I would work on, and I was able to get so much knitting done. And how I would use to prep for craft shows is I would knit as much as I could before the first craft show, and I would usually start in July or August, and then my craft shows would typically start in about September. So I would knit as much as I could of the product. And you do want to have a goal for yourself on how much you want to make at a craft show, but you need to go into it knowing that that may not happen, because again, craft shows are very unpredictable. So I liked to bring inventory that was like, I don't even know what my number was, my like magic number, but I used to like to make like 3 times as much value-wise as I wanted to make at the craft show. So if I wanted to make $100 at the craft show, I would make $300 worth of product, because you want to have variety. You can't just bring $100 worth of product and expect that every single person is going to want exactly what you have. People are going to want more of one item than they're going to want of the other item. So, and you don't know what that number is going to be. You don't know how it's going to go that year. Like, my bestseller would always surprise me. I would never go into a craft show expecting what sold the most to be the thing that sold the most. So you can't go based off that. You have to have a small variety of a lot of items. So you want to choose like a couple of styles of hats or a couple of styles of headbands, and you just want to go with those couple of styles, do it in multiple colors. I don't mind having a lot of color choices, but I do try to narrow it down to like 5 or 6 and then just go off of that amount. So that's really up to you though, however you want your table to look. I want a little bit of cohesion, but I do like the messy indie vibe of a table. So that's why I choose to do a lot more colors, and it's really up to you and how you feel comfortable and what you want to do. But that's just my advice that I have given people in the past, and you'll probably find me having said online. So I would just, yeah. Also, I just remembered last night I was sitting in bed and I pulled out one of my notebooks from my drawer, and it's the notebook that me and Adam used to use for like everything. And I have all of my craft show stuff in there from like 2017. So that was fun to look at. It was like my inventory list of what I did, the custom orders that I had, and just a lot of list of things. So it was nice and refreshing to look back at that, and it kind of gives me inspiration and nostalgia and excitement about this year's craft show. So yeah, that was fun. But tomorrow, I'm not gonna have any time to prep. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'm gonna hopefully have a little time to prep, but I am filming a tutorial video where I'm working with a company. So that's really exciting, but that's gonna take pretty much the whole day. I'm dedicating all of Sunday to that video. So I'm really excited about it. So you guys will probably have seen it before this one, but yeah. I am getting a little nervous because I don't have as much done as I would have liked to have or as I could have had, but I haven't been very inspired to just like knit. In all my free time, I get off work and I'm pretty tired because it's been hectic. We're going through a conversion and I just got a promotion. So it's a lot all at once. It's exciting things, of course, but I don't have the time I thought I would have for this craft show. And I already got a couple of custom orders for Christmas things. So we're just doing what we can do. And that's all you can do. Don't stress yourself out over a craft show. Like, even if this is something you're relying on for an income, you have to make it fun. Because if it's not fun, it's going to show through. And then you're going to be really disappointed in the end. And nobody needs to live their life in disappointment. Seriously. You should have goals for yourself, but you shouldn't be hard on yourself on things you can't control. So I'm going to go back to knitting and I will update you guys later. Bye. Hey guys, so it's officially 2 weeks until craft show time. You can see my bags of yarn here are still pretty full. So I'm definitely feeling a little stressed. I definitely could have been more prepared. I had a lot of time that I feel like I definitely wasted, but again, this is more of a fun project than anything. But I am getting those jitters that I used to get when I did craft shows back in the day. Like when I very first started, I was so nervous. So I'm feeling the pressure for sure. That is what I have so far. That's not a lot. That's 15 hats. I'm feeling a little uncertain of my decision to do a more luxury line this year opposed to what I've done in the past, which is chunky knits, which can still be luxury, but I think the feel of them is very different. So I'm definitely feeling the pressure. I'm currently working on a first child size hat. I did have some interest on my Facebook page for children's size, so I'm going to try to crank out some of those. But I very much cannot make a decision on a second style of hat. I still want to make some scrunchies and ear warmers. I have decided to just do my one cable ear warmer. I have a video tutorial for it, so you guys can see it on my channel. But I always brought those to craft shows and people have loved them. So I think I'm just going to do those. I can make quite a few of them pretty quickly. So that's the game plan there. Scrunchies will take a little bit of time, but less time than a hat. But I do want to still get one more style of hat. I just can't make a decision. I've cast it one on and then I decided that it wasn't going to be enjoyable to knit a ton of those. So I think I'm just going to do another stockinette hat, different style, and we'll see how it goes. I have the yarn for it. It's an alpaca yarn. Alpaca twist, so it's a little bit fuzzy. It's interesting addition to what I would normally do, but I hope it is perceived well. So that's the game plan right now. I need to start working. I have this issue that whenever I have a deadline for something, then I just start cleaning everything, like deep cleaning. I deep cleaned the bathroom today. I deep cleaned the kitchen, and I'm just like, I need to be knitting, so I guess I'm gonna get back to that. But that's kind of where my head's at right now, 2 weeks until showtime, so I'm definitely feeling the pressure. Hey guys, so I am popping in here now to do a little section on table display since I didn't get to do it whenever I was at the craft show because I was a little overwhelmed. But I wanted to mention a couple of things about table display. I will show you mine as well. But I think the most important thing is just to find your style and what the epitome of your brand is, like what you want your brand to be. So for me, I use a tapestry as a tablecloth because I like the vibe of it. I like a very indie vibe, as I've mentioned, the boho kind of alternative style. I feel like a lot of people always go for the same sorts of styles for their knitting and crochet booths. So I like to think a little bit outside the box. I also find that it's very important to have levels to your table. So this year it wasn't as grand of a table for me as it has been in years past, but I did utilize a lot of the things that I have used in the past. I used wooden crates to give me some height. I used mannequin heads that are glass, which also makes me stand apart because a lot of people use styrofoam. I got them at Pier 1 if you're wondering. That's to display the hats. I think that's very important to have them on some sort of display so when people are walking by, it grabs their attention. I also have a sign that says "you could make it, but will you?" and that draws in so many people to my booth, let me tell you. So if you can think of something sarcastic or quirky or something that fits who you are and have it made into a sign that you think will draw people in, I definitely think you should add a little extra touch like that to your table, because like I said, it really did drive a lot of people to my table, whether it was just because they wanted to say something about the sign, it kept them at the table, and a lot of people bought things because of that. So very important to have extra decor as well, something that, you know, shows your personality a little bit outside of the decorations of the table. I also very much encourage having a mirror for people to try things on. If you have a wearable items booth, encourage people to try things on. They're more likely to buy items. I know with COVID, things are a little bit weird, but I didn't have anybody say anything about trying on. People were happy to be trying things on. Nobody felt weird about it, so I think that's a positive. But yeah, definitely have a mirror. You don't have to have a full-length mirror. In mine, you'll see that it's just a regular size mirror. I've had that thing for years. I've been dragging it around. I just made sure to clean it up a little bit because it's been in my garage for a while, but make sure you have it set to a good level for the height of a normal person. Don't necessarily set it for yourself if you're very short like I am. I made sure to raise it up a little bit. I used totes, some extra crates that I had to raise it up, and then I just stacked them behind it as well. In the past, I usually use like these little boxes that I had, but I didn't want to drag them to the craft show because I only had one table this year. So do whatever you can to make it work. Play with levels. You don't want everything to be flush on the table. You will see that I have a lot of my hats on the table this year. In the past, I would have stacked them into the crates and had all of my inventory on the table. But this year I didn't have two tables. I just had the one. So I put one color of each hat. I had 2 to 3 colors of each hat available, but I put the rest of them in a bag behind the table because I didn't want to overwhelm the table since I only had one. But I do like a fuller table. Some people don't like as full of a table, but I find a fuller table draws people in and gets them to pick through things a little bit more. So I find that's very important. You'll see with my headbands, my ear warmers, that I did keep them in a little tote, as well as my scrunchies because I wanted to keep them all together. They're smaller items. So that's another tip, to just keep the smaller items all put together and kind of make them so people have to pick through it and pull them out, because you want people touching your stuff. You want people looking at your stuff, the colors, whether they're just pulling it out one time and then putting it back. It doesn't matter. You want that sort of interaction at your table. So you want to have something that makes people not just walk by and glance at it. You want people to have to get in and be interactive with your table. So that's another important tip that I have for table display. But overall, just have fun with it. Don't think you have to stay inside of a standard box. I do know that there are some craft shows that require you to have a black tablecloth, but you can totally play that up as well. I also think that you should go into a craft show knowing a little bit about the craft shows. I've always said this in years past, to check the craft shows out the year before you decide to do them, to see if they're a good fit for you, because there are craft shows that are more, I don't know how to put it, pyramid scheme themed. So a lot of people that sell Scentsy and a lot of people that sell those sorts of things, like Pampered Chef or whatever. And if you're a crafter, you don't want to be at one of those shows. Let me tell you, the amount of shows I've done to learn my lesson, don't go to a craft show if you're a crafter expecting to sell handmade things and everybody else around you is selling a product. Don't do that. So scope out your craft shows and know your market. If you're looking at a craft show, thinking about doing it, and you realize it's not within the range of person you want to be selling to, they're probably not going to be buying your items either. So definitely know your market and what your customer looks like and your customer is like, your age range, whatever. Do a little bit of research. Highly recommend, even if it's just going on the Facebook page and seeing what the vendors years prior were like, because a lot of times the Facebook pages for craft shows will promote their sellers, like who's going to be there that year. So at the very least, do that. But definitely know your market. If a black tablecloth kind of market isn't for you, then don't sign up for the black tablecloth kind of market. If you know that you're like, I'm going to have my tapestry as my tablecloth and I'm not going to sit there and be inside of a box, then just don't sign up for that craft show. Very important to do a little bit of research, and yeah, you might have to put it off another year, but it's worth it in the end if you're saving yourself some money and time. But overall, like I said, just let your personality shine through in your products, let your personality shine through in your table display, and the people will come to you. If you guys have any other questions, you can definitely leave them down below. And again, I am going to have all my blog posts and stuff from the years past linked down below as well. So you can check those out to see my old table displays, which I always loved my table displays. That was the one thing that I felt so confident in. So definitely check out some of those old images. I might even throw some on the screen as well. But let's move on to the next part of the video. Hey guys, it is market day 2. I did a terrible job at keeping you updated because I got really stressed out, but we have made it to day 2. I have gotten a few more like earwormers prepped. I did take a video of my table yesterday, so I'll have that in here to show you guys, and I'll probably insert some sort of clip of me talking more about that. But today is market day 2. I wanted to come in with a little quick tip on market attire. As you can see, I'm not wearing a hand knit sweater, as tempting as it is. I just go for a hand knit beanie like I'm selling at my booth. I also have a hand knit scrunchie on my wrist like I'm also selling at my booth. But I am working or selling in a old courthouse on the 2nd floor, so it is toasty. And like I said, tempting to wear a hand knit sweater because you want to show it off, right? But I don't recommend. If you're outside, you're going to be wearing a coat probably if it's cold, and I still don't recommend wearing a sweater of the hand knit variety unless you're very confident that you're not going to get toasty, because you don't want to get too toasty. Not only will you feel exhausted, you will be uncomfortable the whole time, you'll be sweaty, and nobody wants that. So I do recommend going with attire that is going to be appropriate. Layers are great. Yesterday I wore a short sleeve shirt with a long sleeve shirt over top of it in case I got too hot. And I am sporting jeans as well and tennis shoes because I have been standing all day. Do recommend bringing a chair. I try to bring as little as possible, so I just sit on a tote whenever I feel the need to sit, but you should be standing and greeting your customers and smiling and happy. So I'm about to head out and grab a coffee and go set my stuff back up at the booth. I keep all of the like totes and stuff under the table with the items that I'm selling in them whenever I close on day 1. And then I leave everything else on the table. So like the display stuff stays on the table, but I take all of my merchandise off of the table. So that is another tip if you're doing a 2-day market. You can totally leave it at the market. If you're not having an outside market, I recommend taking that with you. Definitely take your cash with you. But if you're having an indoor market, it's 2 days like mine, you can definitely leave it there. I mean, it's at your own risk, of course. I've never had an issue. You know, everybody's there as a vendor or seller, so they respect your items like you should respect theirs. So that is my tip. Take it off the table if you have small items, but you can definitely leave it under the table like in a tote. I just wouldn't leave it on the table because it's easy for somebody to just swipe something. But anyways, I'm gonna head out and get started over there. Maybe I'll film a little bit of me setting it up if it's not too crazy, but I will see you guys later. Bye. Hey guys, so I just got out of the shower. But I just got back from my market from day 2 and it is over. I'm very happy that it's over. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of cool people and I got myself some cool opportunities. So I'm excited about that. I just wanted to wrap this up and let you guys know like how day 2 went. It was a lot slower. Well, I feel like it's just as busy, but on Sundays it kind of is like ebbs and flows more than a consistent thing. And So I didn't sell as much day 2 as I did day 1, which is fine because I didn't have as much day 2 as I did day 1. I managed to make 5 additional ear warmers last night and sold out of those pretty much immediately. And I managed to make 4 while I was standing there, and all of them sold right off the needles. Like, I was making them and somebody was like, can I buy that? They bought it, and then they came back and picked it up when it was finished. So it was good. I think I left with 8 hats left, and I think I took 28 to begin with. So 20 hats total and countless headbands. I have no idea how many headbands because, like I said, I was making them while I was sitting there, and they were selling off the needles on day 1 and day 2. So definitely ear warmers are a great thing, especially if they're like a lower ticket item. I found that I think people are maybe crunching their spending a little bit more this year due to, you know, the recession that might be coming up and all of that stuff. But overall, it was very successful. I think I had about $240 in the entire market invested into it. That's including the market itself, which was a $90 application fee or a vendor fee, which is very common with shows. Again, this is a 2-day show, so the fee is a little bit higher. I did bring my own table. I just did 1 table this year instead of 2 like I normally do. I had enough space for 2, but I knew I wasn't gonna have enough product to fill up 2 tables, so I wanted my table to look full. So I just did the 1 table and I just made it work. You guys would have seen footage of the table. And then, like I said, about $90, I had $90 into the table, and the rest of that was materials. So what I spent on yarn, I am gonna return some of the yarn that I didn't use, of course. So a little bit less than that. So I wasn't too invested into it. Like I said, it was just for fun. And then I made just under $1,000. So I say I did pretty good. It's not the best show that I've ever done. I used to make a lot more money, but I also used to make a lot more product because I did it full time. I have a full-time job now, so knitting isn't my full-time thing. I also used to make bulkier items with chunky yarn, and this year I chose to do DK to sport weight yarn for all my products. Most of my products, I should say. And that was a hit, you know. I did quality over quantity. I did take a walk around the venue, which is huge. It's at our old courthouse here in Southern Indiana. And it's 4 stories. So it has the basement, 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor. I was on the 2nd floor in a ballroom and prime location. I got really lucky. The person next to me was wonderful. I'm actually going to her studio next week with a friend to make some of the crafts that she was selling. So I'm really excited about that. That's a perk about markets. But yeah, I took a look around and there were several other knitters, and I stood out because I had smaller knitted things. I had tags on my product. So the small details are going to stand out and set you apart from the others. So I was lucky to be on the 2nd floor in the ballroom where I was. To get to my spot, you did have to pass several other knitters and crocheters, because you should be informed if you're doing a market for knitting and crochet, there's always going to be more than one. So you need to find the thing that makes you stand out. For me, I always try to make it the quality of my product. Not to say that the other people's stuff isn't good, but I try to use higher quality materials. I try to do things that I haven't seen before at markets. I try to add tags. Nobody else ever has tags on their knitted items. That's something that I think is so important, and I can't tell you how many people stopped and was like, I love the tag. They didn't buy anything, but they were like, I love the tag. I did have one lady that came in today and she was like, oh, this is where my daughter bought hers yesterday. Look, she sent me this photo, and that was great. And I had several people say, are these store-bought and you're selling them? And I was like, no, these are all hand knit. So like, those things are such compliments, and even if people don't buy, it makes you feel good. I should mention, I probably mentioned this somewhere else in the video, but this is like a little summary. My items were priced. The highest item was $50 and the lowest marked item was $15. So I had a nice price range, and then there was like a $30 item, and then I had my children's hat. So, sorry, I have fuzz in my mouth. All things to keep in mind, you want to have budgeted items, and actually my lowest marked item was $10. The scrunchies, they sold out super fast, so I completely forgot I had them. But yeah, I just recommend, you know, doing you, putting your heart into it, the things that you're proud of, and it's gonna shine through, I promise you. Markets are not easy. They are strenuous to prep for. They are scary to sit at and put yourself out there. You may not sell anything, and that's not any fault to you. That is just the way markets go. Seriously, don't ever feel discouraged if you do a market and you don't sell anything. I've had my fair share, trust me. But over the years, I've done countless markets, and I think they're a lot of fun if you're into that sort of thing. It is a lot of time and effort up front and also on the days of the market, so just be aware of that. Make sure you have your change ready. I do recommend you getting a card reader through Square or wherever else has them, because you will miss out on sales if you don't take card. I do most of my sales through card. Some people, they do have cash, and they do respect that, you get a fee if you use cards processors. So all things to keep in mind. I'm gonna have more summary throughout the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, thank you so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions about markets, or if you had a market this year, how it went, and subscribe to my channel for more random content. Bye!